Alright, welcome back to the Home Story Cup 9 North American Qualifiers. We find ourselves in game number 2 on a very, very macro-encouraging map. We'll talk about that more in a moment. Spawning in the bottom right corner of the map, though. Currently down 1 in this best of 3. Has to bring it back right now or he's out of the tournament. The Red Zerg player from Complexity Sound Blaster, hendralisk. And his opponent over yonder to the left, also on the bottom side of the map. He's blue, he's Terran from CM Storm. Ladies and gentlemen, my honor to introduce Polt. Okay, so let's talk about the bottom line for this map. The basics of what's going on. I think for that last game, a lot of you kind of looked like, you know, why would hendralisk do this? Why would he go for the all-in? First off, like I said, breaking Polt's defenses is not easy, but all-ins are kind of the rare things he loses to. His macro tends to be pretty impeccable. He never falters or misses at Marines. He's hardly ever supply blocked. To try and force the game early, it looked stupid and it looked pathetic, but that was a build that was meant to catch him off guard completely and entirely. Unfortunately, Polt wasn't, and he prepared for that pretty nicely. Let's assume hendralisk could even broken the supply, the bunker rather, there's 2 more behind it. So I mean, no matter how you look at it, Polt won that last game. He won it from the second hendralisk decided to make that all in. At the same token, though, if you guys have been watching a stream lately, again, the few rare things Polt loses to, whether it's Protoss, Zerg, or other Terrans, well, it's actually rarely ever against other Terrans, but mostly Zergs and Protoss, ends up being all in. So it was a risky move at hendralisk. It was a gamble to make in game number 1, but it also puts Polt on the defensive for game number 2. He's never going to sit there and be like, okay, this is a guy who's not going to all in me. He's got to always be a little bit prepared for that. So scouting is going to be more important, not important, but essential to the matchup. But he's going with the Reapers once again, and hendralisk takes his natural outside of the base. A lot of the people see this and they go, sorry, chat just finally got caught up with the wubs. A lot of people see this and it looks a little bit risky to the untrained StarCraft 2i, but the idea is your natural base obviously going to mine out before your third. So if you mine out of your exposed base that you don't need to defend 14, 15, 18, 20 minutes in the game, then you'll have a much safer third later on. Now, as far as this map goes, I kind of hinted at this being more like a macro-oriented map. It is. Just in the pure basics of it. The fact that it's so big, the fact that there's so many bases, it's really hard to pull off cheese here, and a lot of this comes down to this one ramp. In the same way that hendralisk could put a queen or 2 here to stop any Hellions from running up, Polt also only has to wall off 1 ramp to protect 2 bases. So, in this regard, I imagine hendralisk would be a lot more encouraged to go towards mutalisks in this game. Whether that ends up being the case or not, we'll see, of course, but it just ends up being something that would make a little more sense. Fortunately, this one drone is not going to die. hendralisk does body block and guard it, and Zerglings do pop out to try and defend. This is a little irritating to deal with, but the first drone, ooh, he saves it. I was going to say he's about to go down, but he saves the drone, drives the Reaper back, Queen's about to pop out, and hendralisk actually holds off against these 2 Reapers pretty nicely. But Polt kind of shows us why you get 3.
Game paused.
Oh, needing a small pause. Oh, for those of you who are concerned about the title of the stream, it says Polt versus hendralisk. You might just need to refresh it, because Twitch doesn't always auto-refresh for you, sadly. Anyways, as far as what ends up happening here, well, that's actually cool. Mid shot, you can see like the fire coming out of the guns. Reapers on 3. He kind of showed us last game why these get used. He almost killed that queen. He put on so much pressure, and if hendralisk didn't make like 8 more lings behind it, because again, he's not a player who typically goes queen heavy in the early game, those Reapers would have really shut him down pretty hardcore. But metabolic boost actually not started just yet. He's got the gas for it. Unfortunately, there we go. It was a little bit mineral starved. Or not mineral starved, distracted at the front of the base. What am I saying? I don't know why I went for mineral starved. I was going to say distracted by the Reapers, but Queen's going to try and shoo these away. Again, you need, it's not even 1, but you need the additional Queens to deal with this. 3 Reapers is too much to handle. 2 alone can almost trade out with the Queen as we saw, but 3 absolutely annihilate Queens. And the Zergling count is just simply not high enough to buffer for 1 Queen. So a second Queen is on the way, but I fear that this first one may go down before it has a chance to get, I guess, born unto this world. 12 Zerglings are about to pop. Not an underreaction by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, 1 Queen's going to go down. Good start here for Polt. He's going to lose one of the Reapers, though, and this actually is kind of decent for hendralisk. Reapers are very expensive in and of themselves, but they also snowball pretty hardcore, both good and bad. So if you shut 1 down, it takes away almost all of the pressure. If you let 1 live and the Queen dies, then all of a sudden they also get a big lead in that regard. So Third base now being slapped down. hendralisk not too concerned about that early pressure. Polt's droning up, or SCVing up rather. He's got that natural base up and running himself. Starport on the way. Probably not. Oh, actually not going to be for Banshee. He's going for the faster Marauder. So I don't know if this is because he's intending to go for a push. There are some builds if he goes for a concussive shell that would make that seem like it's the case. But I think it's a Marauder coming out with some concussive shells. That's what I imagine. Well, actually, there we go. It's actually stim. Never mind. Okay, so anyways, the reason I was kind of hinting towards concussive shells is because it's a move we've seen some players do recently that, again, like it's more of a European thing. Like I love watching Polt because he accommodates all aspects of the world when it comes to StarCraft 2. He's not just like in North America. He's not just a Korean. But in Europe, we've been watching a lot of Terran players kind of go more towards these earlier concussive shell pushes rather than go for medevacs. But not going to be the case. Stimpack on the way, and hendralisk will drive these back for the time being. But the medevacs coming out, and these Marauders... Actually, is he going to drop for Marauder? I've not seen anyone do that. If he goes for like a Marauder drop or something, that'd be kind of cute to watch. But yeah, there's a lot of Zerglings in play for hendralisk. He doesn't have +1 on the way by any means, any stretch of the imagination, but he will have Roaches out to deal with the Hellions. And these Marauders just seem a little preemptive, but they'll actually be fantastic for dealing with the Roaches. You're not typically going to have a lot of Roaches either, just FYI, guys. But hendralisk will probably come out with a good 4 or 5. This isn't going to be the 2 base. He does have that 3rd. So everyone calm down. You're not going to see this all-in out of hendralisk just yet. There are some 3-base all-in Zerg players can pull off, but it usually involves banelings. So we see no baneling nest even being made yet for hendralisk. So still waiting to go into the mid-game here. Polt is a player, by the way, who almost, I wouldn't say never, but we very rarely ever see him play mech. So would be surprised if that was going to be the case. But he shuttles across 5 Marauders. There's a hell of a lot of Hellions here. These will deal with the Zerglings. The Marauders will deal with the Roaches. And of course the Banshee following suit. This is actually looking really bad for hendralisk. Really bad for hendralisk. He has no idea this is coming through the Marauders as well. But these aren't, I don't think these are meant to be dropped. These are just simply to be on the front lines. Again, Roaches are usually like, haha, go away Hellions, but not when there's Marauders with Stimpack. And Stim is about finished up. So this attack is going to time out really nicely here for Polt. But he's actually going around the long ways. As he drops in the natural, what's worth noting, guys, is Zerglings without upgrades still struggle to deal with Marauders. They've got a very large health pool, and they have some base armor attached to them. As we see those Zerglings quick to respond, and hendralisk actually gonna be baited away. Polt just pulls a Yui and goes back in. 3rd base still a little bit exposed. There's a couple Roaches here, but again, that's a lot of Hellions. Drones are preemptively pulled away from this, but the natural entrance, that ramp is left exposed. While this is happening, that medevac coming back with the unfortunate Zergling pull. We see the Marauders get back in here to do some real big damage to Queens. Again, no bonus damage goes off, but they've got Stimpack. A Spine Crawler completes, but a Spine Crawler won't stop these. Although with that Stimpack, that puts 2 Marauders within 1-shot range, and now it's only 1 Marauder instead of 2. That's a big half of damage. But hendralisk's still struggling to hold on. He keeps these Hellions at bay, and he maintains his worker count while this is going on. Oh, but he stacks his drones. He's got to be so careful. There's still 3 Hellions here. Takes a big barbecue hit to the face. Goes from losing almost nothing down to 28 workers killed in 1 beautiful flame strike. But the natural base still isn't finished. He actually, never mind, take that back. He cleans it up with the drone pull and a couple of Zerglings by the looks of it, and will send Polt back. That was a really big dedication from Polt, by the way, guys. And if he hadn't killed those workers, he would certainly not have gotten his money's worth. But he ends up getting a lot of worker kills. And hendralisk, who had a nice worker lead at one point, now beaten back down to 47. The scary thing too is, while he's forced to drone right now, guys, this is going to eat up a lot of his larva, which means he's not going to have a ton of Mutalisks coming out. Once that Spire completes, yeah, he'll have a couple, which will be fantastic at shutting down drops, but he's really not going to have anything that can contend with the army. Baneling Nest is so far out. Marauders, Marines, and Widowmines are going to deal with Roaches, no problemo, because they have Stimpack. This is looking really, really scary again for hendralisk, but he's taking a 4th base. He's making these risky moves that if he can hold off, will certainly carry him better further into this game. But the army count is just non-existent. The Baneling Nest still not available, and he doesn't have the minerals to make 8 Mutalisks. He's only going to be able to make about 4. So if he makes any Mutalisks, I would almost call it a game throw. He, of course, doesn't know whether he needs them or not. Now fully aware of this attack coming in the front lines. Widowmine's going to go off. He splits like crazy because he doesn't know where they're going. And the Roaches will clean up the Marauders, but the Marines are the true threat in this army. Same with these medevacs. Unfortunately, this base is also revealed, and a Banshee starts going to town on it. Zerglings and Banelings morphing in. hendralisk does not have the money to make those fresh, tasty Mutalisks out of that Spire. But Polt trying to safe than sorry, get this medevac up here. He'll unload as well, and this hatchery is going to need to be cancelled for sure. If hendralisk lets this complete, that's going to be a big mistake. A big mistake. Now, one queen, by the way, can't deal with a Banshee when it has full health. Certainly not when it has low health. That was a bit of a desperate move out of hendralisk. He's going to lose the Overseer, too, which kind of sucks. Zergling's trying to rush to the aid. May be able to save the Overseer. They do save the Overseer. But it's one of those, like, you know, I don't know, consolation prizes. What am I still going off on the Banlings in the middle of the map, or the Zerglings, rather, as they drag on top of them. And this army from Polt's looking somewhat unstoppable. It's 101 army supply, guys. Even though some of that's medevacs, hendralisk just doesn't have the means to deal with this. If Banlings had centrifugal hooks, if he had something else going for him, that element X, he might be able to hold. But Polt is just looking to choke him out. He's even going to suffocate him here, taking away that +1 armor carapace. Roach is coming from the awkward side. GG is going to be called. Sad to see hendralisk go down, but Polt, like a god, takes that game 2-0 in the series and will go on to the finals, where he will wait an opponent, as I believe the semifinals, the other half still hasn't been decided.